Oh my goodness. Hello and welcome back to Commodity to Category. I am super excited. This time I have Miss Dianne Shelton joining me for an interview. Now, as you know, here at this series, we're talking about how you can really position yourself and your business instead of being a commodity and getting trapped in what I like to call the sea of the same. Instead, we're going to position yourself and your business as a category of one. And so I am so excited again to mention that Dianne is joining me today. So, how about we kick it off? Dianne, tell everyone, obviously introduce yourself, but let us know in your mind, what does it mean to move from a commodity positioning to that of category of one? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. So, my name is Dianne Shelton, and I am the founder of Passion Breakthrough. And what I do is that it's super simple, right? Like a lot of people are familiar with business coaches, but I specifically help heart-led entrepreneurs who want to leverage sales systems to have more fun in their business and their life and focus on their zone of genius and let all of the things that kind of get them frustrated or just kind of taking too much time to just kind of work seamlessly and build a scalable business. So that's what we want for you, and that's what we're going to talk about. So in terms of going from commodity to category of one, that's exactly what we want, right? So see a sameness. That is also what I tell my clients in terms of just like, especially now, it's so loud and it's just like, okay, everyone, it's such a, like it's always been a saturated space. And it's worse now with AI, with so many different types of TikTok and social media and all these things. So really at the end of the day, it's like, how can you be more you? It sounds simple, but we need more of you to show up. And like a lot of people think that it's just like, okay, so that's a boring, boring answer. But like, how are you hiding away? How can you actually let yourself just be the person that you are, whether, like have more fun, or if you're more structured, then be more structured, right? Like there's no right or wrong way of being your own CEO. The way that I like, like my background right now is like oranges, because I tell my clients like instead of sticking spaghetti on the wall, stick juicy offers on the wall, right?
I
Like
love
just
that.
little things like that that let your personality shine. So that's what I mean by being a category of one. It's just like you're unique. So what can you do to be unique in this space?
Oh my goodness, Diane, I love that so much. The thing about it is, just as you mentioned, the market, not just online, offline as well, it is
Right.
loud, right? And I think that is so it's such a great word because with loud, it's the difference between hearing something and listening. We
Hmm.
hear a lot of noise, but only what you tune into is what matters. And
Right.
so you're exactly right. The market is loud, but the truth is people are starved for connection. And I was listening to something earlier and it was talking about the rise of AI. We have one of our experts is talk another, another person is discussing AI as well. But the thing about it is AI does not replace the human to human connection. And if anything, it's making the general population starved for that connection and starved for authenticity, and it's not really an either or, it really is a both and.
Hmm.
Not to usurp, where you're going here, but just really, really quickly, here in the States and and a few places I've traveled around abroad, I think it's very common that McDonald's, which is a global restaurant, they have replaced a lot of their servers, the people that take the order, with these kiosks. And one of the things that they recognized was that they were actually able to sell more with the kiosk than with the individual connecting, taking the order. And that's because when it's a machine, they never miss the opportunity to do the upsell, the cross sell, and offer, would you like fries with that? Or would you like a shake with that? But at the same time, while their overall sales per visitor is increasing, the overall foot traffic was really fatiguing, depending on the demographics. If you're in a market where there are more older adults, so let's say like a Japan, for example, where they're demographically are an older population, then their foot traffic is fatiguing because people really want that connection. So
Yep.
this is not a carte blanche, I'm just gonna do a like kind replacement. Instead, it really is a both and.
Yeah.
And so, feel free to just kind of, vibe on that for a little bit more.
Yeah, it's funny that it's funny that we're talking about McDonald's because it's not just us. It's not just small business owners, right? Like big brands are doing this and they're trying to be the category of one because the fast food industries, any industry is saturated. And the fact that this morning I was, like looking through Facebook and one of the reels was about McDonald's, about like how um the last McDonald's apparently that had this like zoo animals was taken down. Like they now have converted this last super unique McDonald's that have like zoo animals on the top of their buildings and a play place to a very standardized McDonald's. And I was looking at the comments, and one of them specifically said that it's because it's out of the box. They can literally like take out the McDonald's logo and change it to a Pizza Hut or whatever they want to do. And now they can just like sell it to the next person. And it's just like it takes the human aspect out of it. And, like we all want the creative part of it. And we all want, like the whole play place and the fun. And yet, all of these things are now being quote unquote standardized. So it feels like everything is being commoditized. Everything is now just like SOP, standard operating procedure of like how you make your burgers, how much salt do you season your fries. One of the emails I sent out this morning actually was about when you just become the water line or the electric company. No one cares what brand of water is in your tap. So when that becomes like that, now you're chasing people that are after the lowest value. Now you're looking at McDonald's shoppers who are willing to pay for like $1 for or $3 for burger versus when you're your own brand. Now you're looking for people that's looking for the play place. Now you're looking for people that is just like, okay, like where is that brand of like home cooked meal that reminds them of their home and they want to bring their whole family in a backyard barbecue and the whole experience. That's what we want to create for you. You don't want everyone else that just goes through the drive-through. We want you to have just the right people that's going to have fun and have that fun experience with you.
You're exactly right. I talk to people all the time and they can be a little bit, I'm going to say it's a trend to be introverted and to embrace your introversion. And that's fine. But the risk that I see there is that people are not wanting to show their face. They don't want their name associated with their business. And they really want to McDonaldize what it is
Mm-hmm.
you're doing.
Love that.
And there's nothing wrong with SOPs. I'm an engineer by background. Like I love systems, I love processes. And truthfully, in order to scale, you need them. Caveat, the one way or the biggest way I feel that small business owners and small businesses anything less than like 500 employees, okay, so
Right.
a lot of people fall under small business, like let's be very clear there. But one of the ways that you can differentiate yourself, and namely the best way you can differentiate yourself, is by being personal, is by having a face to the brand, right? That's literally how you do it. And you were speaking about email marketing, which is absolutely something that I love and I teach my clients as well. And the person was discussing, they have a couple of different, I'll call them digital properties. And they were discussing those that are associated with their name versus those that are more of a brand. And they
Mm-hmm.
were saying number by number, subscriber by subscriber, they're able to earn literally 5 times more with their branded properties than they are with the unbranded ones.
Oh,
So
wow.
literally, they're like, yeah, I make like $4 million a year
Oh my
off
gosh.
of, off of like, I think I want to say they're emailing, depending on the segment, about 30,000 people per day. And they're able to earn $4 million off of that 30,000 people. And they're like,
Mm.
yeah, for the same number, I can only, I eke out just under 1 million. And it's like, okay, like it really is that differentiating factor. And, just in the overall space, when you think about the big name people, yes, there's Amazon, but there's also Jeff Bezos. Yes, there's
Mm.
Facebook, but there's Zuckerberg, and so as much as we want to almost have a separation between our brands and ourselves, I personally feel that's a misstep that a lot of business owners make. So with that, I'd love to get your perspective. In your mind, what do you think is one of the biggest opportunities that you see entrepreneurs, even corporate professionals making, in this conversation of really trying to command more attention, more market share, really honing in that category one positioning? Where are they stepping over dollars to pick up pennies?
Yeah, I think such a great question, right? So I think there's two sides of it, and it's the same side of the same coin, right? So we're talking
Certainly.
about SOP in terms of creating processes, creating automation, all that stuff. Like that's what I love to be able to help people scale, because we're talking about like how can you be the solution. We're also talking about like the Jeff Bezos and that like all of these Zuckerberg and all of these people in the world. And when you think of Apple, right, like the company, not like the fruit, um, is that personally I still think of Steve Jobs, right? Like I know like Tim, whatever his last name is, I'm so bad. Is that like yes, the CEO can change. Yes, the company is like faceless in terms of just like the brand, but it was his vision. He left a legacy. So before you think about like taking over the market share, taking over like your big ideas of like how can you scale. Yes, you need the systems to help you scale, and focus on your legacy that you want to leave the world even after you're gone, that people will you remember, that the next person that will take over your company is going to continue to live on. So it's just going to help impact more people, and now it's not just this faceless brand that's just like a commodity that everyone don't even know why, like again, like the water line and the electric company, there's like no why behind that. You want to know why you're doing it, live up to that legacy, live it every single day while everything else is running seamlessly behind the scenes for you.
Oh, I love that so much. It's again, I think a lot of the conversation, in people's minds is an either or, and it's not a
Mhm.
both and. And there really is space for both. And
Mhm.
the thing about it is when you're on the smaller end, these businesses are incredibly high margin. The beautiful
Right.
part about coaching, consulting, done for you services, all these things, they can be incredibly high margin because you are able to leverage your personal brand and because you're able to leverage that. You're right. I do still think about Steve Jobs and his vision and the turtleneck, and his unified wardrobe. And we all rally around those little things that we feel are going to give us an edge. Like if I wear a uniform every day, then maybe that will take something off of my mental plate. And so now I can gain more, in my business and things like that. It's funny, my husband literally wears a uniform because of the same thing. Not like like a schoolboy uniform, but in terms of consistency, in terms of what
Mhm.
he dress and how he dresses. And you're right, we're able to rally around that idea, and right now I don't even remember how long ago he's passed, let's say maybe a decade ago. And you and I are both fairly young, yet we still gravitate to that idea and that legacy. You may not necessarily know this, but in my business, I help persons build what I call an asset driven business, which is how can you build these things that will monetize over and over again on repeat, basically productizing your intellectual property so that while you are the brand and you are helping build that differentiating factor in terms of that back end processes, it's really this is part and parcel. This is something that's more automated and productized, where people can really see what that value is separate from your individual. And you can absolutely do both. And I absolutely love that. I'm curious, could you tell us a little bit more, as you're working with your clients and helping them, go after the oranges of the day instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall? Walk us a little bit about how you do that and, some of your differentiating attributes and really how you help draw out that category of one from your clients.
Yeah, so I do something similar, right? Like to productize their own I don't necessarily like to use the word productize the way that I serve my clients because I love working with heart-led entrepreneurs. So for me, it's more about like them focusing on their legacy, their vision, and then having again like a business that works for them so they can have more fun and those endeavors that will help them to create a bigger legacy and impact for their world. So what I mean by that is that, like sometimes we get so caught up thinking that all these lists of busy work is something that we have to do. But at the end of the day, like having, collaboration, having people around us that can help that shine in their expertise. So the structure that I have in the way that I work with my people, and this is something that people can resonate with too, is that be the CEO. And CEO to me is an acronym for client, engine, and offers. It's a three-legged stool that I help my clients because I think like people need to focus on really how can you support your clients? What is the engine that will help you to really network in your business? And so that you can focus again, like on the vision. And then the offers, meaning your business should be making sales. Otherwise, it just becomes like another hobby or volunteer work. So you need to have your offers that help your client. So it's really a bridge, right? Like client on one side, your engine, which is the bridge for the sales systems. And then at the other end is your offers. So now your offers should cross the bridge over to the clients. So CEO is really what you should be doing and focusing on.
I love that. It's so interesting, and I love that you focus on the heart-led entrepreneur. My people tend to be kind of hard-nosed like myself. Like I mentioned, I'm an engineer by background, so I can be, a little bit of a straight shooter. There's that. But the interesting thing about it is, when you're talking about your bridge and things like that, this is not necessarily off topic, but I think it is pertinent to the conversation, is that some people can be hesitant to make that bridge to the offer. And in my opinion, a lot of times they're using their own personal wallet to determine how the amount of income their business should make, what's reasonable, the frequency of offers, so forth and so on. Could you speak to that just a little bit more? And I'm just curious how you help, because with a heart-led person, they really do have a heart to serve, and the mindset that selling is serving can be quite difficult for people sometimes. So, how do you help your clients bridge that gap?
Oh my gosh, like I just had a conversation this morning with somebody about this, and my clients and I talk about this all the time because to your point, heart-led sometimes can mean you overgive, right? And again, like as leaders, we have to know the difference between, okay, like is this within over delivery or over giving, right? Like you can over deliver within the boundaries. So again, that's what the my background is in IT. That's why it's just like when you say you're an engineer, it's just like I spent over 15 years in IT. So it's just like, okay, like this is having a structure, having your SOP helps you to not overgive and over deliver. So I call it the leads to sales, right? Like I know sometimes, especially heart-led entrepreneurs, they don't like calling it leads. So whatever resonates with you, it doesn't have to be the word leads. It doesn't have to be the word sales. But you have to have a process in terms of just like, okay, like how are you really talking to people? Are you just like making friends? Are you just like talking to them for the sake of like busy work that is yet just zombie scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or whatever? Just making sure that people are clear on the path to success and the path to really the monetization pathway, right? And then again, systems that support that, whether that's just like the conversation pieces that needs to happen, the CRM, the client relationship management pipelines that needs to be put in place, the actual offers to make sure that when people are just like, oh my gosh, like I so vibe with you, how can we work together? And then some people are like, I don't know. So just having clarity in terms of your own offer and having the payment link ready when people are ready to buy. It's just the little things that people, sometimes they don't think about because they're so passionate
Right.
and they miss the little pieces that and an SOP, like a process will help you kind of to
Hmm.
think about. So being clear on your strategy, being clear on your why, and just kind of merging the two together, and then the systems kind of help support that.
I love how you help. I'm going to use the word put blinders on. Like really
Yeah.
direct people. So this is what you're doing this for, like making
Hmm.
sure you, to your point, have the payment link available. Like
Right.
let's actually focus on those things. Because
Hmm.
it is easy to get distracted and, doom scrolling on Facebook. Like, oh yeah, I'm totally doing something. I was I listen to a fair amount of content as I'm driving. I have a toddler, so daycare run. And I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but the person was talking about people that are desiring to get healthy and desiring to lose weight. And so what they were saying is that we often, just in general, we often do things that are more like a decoy or something that is a substitute for legitimate action as
Yeah,
opposed to actually doing what our next best step is that's directly in front of us. So
exactly.
if a person wants to lose weight, let's be honest, you can, assuming you have physical faculties in place, you can
Hmm.
eat less and move more. Very
Right.
simple. But instead, we'll do things that make us feel as though we're taking action. For example, sitting on the couch eating bonbons and ordering an exercise bike. Oh, I did
Mhm.
something. I ordered an exercise bike and I am 100% guilty. I don't necessarily need to lose any weight, but I am guilty. I have all of the exercise equipment that I do not use that is collecting dust. When
Me too.
honestly, I can put my tennis shoes on and go for a walk around the block. That's the
Hmm.
truth, right? And so a lot of times if we're hesitant, we can put these pseudo action activities in
Hmm.
place, um, thinking that that's actually moving us forward to that category one positioning, but in actuality, it's not. So I'm just curious, and certainly, I know that you are offering a gift to everyone, and I think that your gift is actually, I'm going to say, a light on the bum to actually get people moving where they should, because it is a launcher offers all in one kit. And
Yeah.
so, could you speak a little bit about, how when you're launching your offers and the things that you help people with, how does it help them not substitute a pseudo action, but actually focus on those guardrails that actually moves them forward?
Yeah, so that's such a great question because again, like I said, heart-led entrepreneurs, sometimes what I've seen some of my clients done before they come and work with me is that they just launch and launch and launch and launch, but they never actually get to the next parts of the process because to your point, it's like that false sense of security, that's just like they shy away from actually doing the next step because sure the exercise bike came but now you actually have to get on this bike and it's scary like sometimes it's something that either you've never done before or you've done and you failed and now your subconscious is just like okay like this is hard remember last time we did this and it didn't work but knowing that you're okay and knowing that hey like I'm just following the next step and it's a proven step right like that's what the gift is for right like and so it's just like having this process again like going back to what we were talking about earlier having a process and you being clear on why are you even doing this do you want to lose weight do you want to help more people like having your legacy having your reason why pair that up with the systems those two things they create magic and that's what I want for more people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Legacy, systems, magic. My goodness. Diane, if you don't mind, you have such a wealth of experience. You've helped your clients really, and if I may, really help them stay focused and really hone in their unique value proposition so that it's easier to communicate, easier to sell, and easier to really help them be in their authentic leadership that is still heart-led. If you don't mind, could you leave us with one piece of advice to help people transition to that category of one? Like some people are like, oh my goodness, I'm loving this conversation. You stepped on my toes with the bonbons, Michelle. Like, why did you do that? But the truth is, I'm loving what Diane is saying, and I just want to know what is one piece of actionable advice what I can implement, quickly in my life to really start seeing some results. What would you say?
Get on the bike. And so what I mean by that is that, like we talked about my free gift. There's a
Yes.
lot of different free gifts that you would find in this summit that we're doing.
Hmm.
There's a lot of free information on Google, but unless you're going to actually take action and implement the things that you think will actually help you be a commodity to category of one, you're gonna be stuck in the cycle of why is this not working or why am I just drowning in the sea of sameness? And I
Mhm.
don't want that for people. I want them to stand in their authority and their expertise.
Yeah.
And it might be scary because the higher up you go, there's less people and you're going to stand out. People want it. People say, I want to stand out. And then yet they don't want to really stand out because it's scary to stand out. It's scary to get on that bike. It's scary to be looked at and be made fun of or whatever scary thing is going to come up. But get on that bike. It's okay. You might fall down. You might find out you don't like it,
Mhm.
but you're never going to know unless you freaking get on that bike. So let's go
Right.
for it.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. It is scary. And, you mentioned just very briefly that there are fewer people in action at the top. And it is so true. I remember when I first started showing up online, I literally posted, this is not even ridiculous. I posted every day for 7 days. Every person that I know in my entire cell phone was like, "What is going on? Who are you?" I was like, "It's only been 7 days. I'm not even that consistent." And it's crazy just how simple it is to really differentiate yourself and say, "Hey, I'm planning to do something different. I'm planning to change the conversation, change the narrative, and really self-select for that category of one." Oh my goodness, Diane, this has been such a great conversation. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Um, Two things, if that's okay. So one thing
Please.
is that when you get on the bike, is the fact that, like how many people are gonna be downloading all of these things? And just kind of give yourself permission to celebrate the fact that you are taking action, no matter how small that might feel like, you're taking action, you're already better than the other person, right? And then the other part is that if you happen to catch yourself falling behind or falling off the bike, reach out to somebody, right? Like Rachel or anybody else, me, we're here to support you. So find people that are also in that category of one that's also making things happen for themselves and not just being a commodity. We're creating a community, and that's how you're going to continue your journey to continue to be that category of one. So find your people, reach out. Don't hesitate to be like, hey, like I got on the bike, it got scary, I fell down, like do you have any tips for me to continue this journey? We're here to help you, so reach out.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for this episode of moving from a commodity to the category of one. Thanks so much, Diane.